sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanisadaihi Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavasthita Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam Navidusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. The third chapter, Karma Yoga, begins with a question raised by Arjuna. And what is the question? The question is, Bhagavan, if you consider the self-knowledge to be the highest, this knowledge is the liberating knowledge. In the second chapter, Bhagavan was praising self-knowledge and the man of self-knowledge. Then Arjuna's question is, Bhagavan, then why are you asking me to fight this terrible war? You must have asked me to gain the knowledge, but instead you are asking me to perform action in the form of fighting this war. So please tell me one thing, what should I do? Should I gain knowledge or should I perform action? That is, should I fight the war? So then Bhagavan said, Arjuna, in the very beginning of the creation itself, I have given these two paths. One is the path for the advanced seekers, the path of knowledge, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. The other is the path for the beginners, Karma Yogena Yoginam. There are two paths given. So I am asking you to fight the war because you are not yet fit to gain that knowledge. In order to gain the knowledge, the mind has to be extremely pure. Only in a purified mind, this knowledge can be gained. To gain this knowledge, you must have tremendous amount of control at the seat of meditation. The mind has to be taken and fixed in the Supreme Lord. For that, purity is necessary. Any beginner cannot do meditation just like that. So therefore, you have to prepare the mind, make it fit for higher meditation, gain the knowledge and be free. This is the whole sequence. So since your mind is not yet prepared, therefore, I am asking you to perform action. I am not asking you to gain the knowledge. What will happen if you bypass? If you bypass, you may sit for meditation, but you will never be able to meditate. What will be your experience? Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasasmaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyachara sauchyate. If the mind is not prepared, then at the seat of meditation, either you will go to sleep or you will find the mind wandering everywhere. You will have no control over the mind at all. So therefore, I ask you to perform action. Perform action, purify the mind, make the mind fit for high meditation, then meditate, gain the knowledge and be free. This is the sequence. So what Bhagavan is trying to say is, don't try to escape from life in the name of spirituality. This is one mistake committed very many times among the seekers. So what happens is they go to some camp, and normally you will have all these camps in a very remote place, away from the city. What you call? Beautiful greenery all around. So sometimes we have this camp in Chinmaya mission, etc. We have such camps. So 1 week you stay there, and all goody satsangs are happening. And all nice people in the camp also. And when you hear the satsang, the mind is at peace. And as far as the ladies are concerned, you don't have to cook also for 7 days. So that's a very big relief for them. Nice food also you get. Nice satsang also you get to listen. And all nice people around. All satsang, bhajans everywhere. Every time. So all the 7 days what happens? You are so refreshed, you are so recharged. And when you come back, you don't want the camp to end actually. But unfortunately the camp has to end. So after 7 days of refreshing experience, you come back to your home. Now what home? The same problematic homes, problematic relationships, full of problem in the office, in the family, everywhere. So then suddenly the desire arises. All problem is because I am in this home, I should leave. So what is the first thing what comes when you are in the family and some problems are there? You compare your worldly problems with that peace which you experienced in the spiritual camp. You compare and you find how miserable I am here, how peaceful I was there. So therefore, what is the natural tendency of a person? To escape from the world. Very many people have done this. So what do? When problems become too much, instead of facing the problem, they try to escape from the problem. What do? They leave everything and they take sannyas. Join some ashram. Now in the ashram, what is the situation? Remember, it's not always camp. In the ashram, you are all alone. And suppose you take some sannyasa diksha, etc., you will have no money also with you. No money, no relationship, but lot of free time. Now what do you do with this free time? You are supposed to sit and meditate. If you have very good control over the mind, then there is no problem at all, because when you are alone, you can be with good books, you can have successful meditations, you are in tune with the divine. So therefore, when you are alone, you are in the company of a very good mind, a disciplined mind, a pure mind. So you enjoy your own company. But what if the mind is not pure? If the mind is not pure, forget about sitting in meditation. You are not even able to sit quietly without doing anything. It's very difficult. Restless mind will not make you sit quietly in a place. You will feel like going here and there. You will feel like eating this and that. You will feel like watching movies, clubs and pubs, etc. But unfortunately, you are a sannyasi now. Just imagine the condition of a person in the ashram. You have so many desires gurgling in the mind, but you don't have means to fulfill the desires. Are you able to understand? So that's why these verses are very important. So what is Bhagavan's warning to all such seekers? In a haste, don't renounce the world. Unless the mind is thoroughly purified, one should not renounce the world. The world has its purpose. Let us learn to live in the world, face the challenges of the world, and learn the right lessons in the world. Then finally a time comes when you are fit enough to renounce the world. It is exactly like the child in the womb. If the child is born premature, what will happen to the child? The child is supposed to remain in the womb for 9 to 10 months. There is a time when the child has to remain in the womb. There is a time when child has to leave the womb. Isn't it? If the child is born early, then the external world doesn't have the means to nourish the child. Suppose if the child is stuck in the womb, after 10 months also it is not coming out, then again it's a problem. In the same way, there is a time when the world is essential for our growth, for our progress, it helps you all, and there is a time when this world has to be renounced also. Right? Or like the fruit on the tree. There is a time when the fruit has to remain with the tree, because only tree can nourish the fruit. The fruit can grow only with the help of the tree. But finally what happens when it becomes fully ripe? It automatically falls down. But very many times what happens is, in haste, thoughtlessly, people renounce the world because of the problems in family life. Very many times, yes, lot of problems are there in the family life. And because of these problems, people renounce. They take some sannyas or something, go to some ashram. Then what happens there? You are neither able to enjoy the lower, nor are you able to revel in the higher. This is called as Trishanku Swarga. Just imagine, you have become a sannyasi. Now can you go to the movie theatre, etc.? No. People say, hey, what is this fellow doing here? There are so many restrictions for a sannyasi. But you have a lot of desires also. You want to eat this, you want to eat that, you want to go. No. As far as sannyasa ashrama is concerned, these things have to be given up. But the desire is there. So he is neither able to, relish the lower. The lower is not available for him. Is he able to meditate upon the higher? That is also not possible. So what will be his condition? His condition will be utter suppression, which creates so many diseases. So it's always better to go through the life, learn the lessons of life. What are those lessons? It will come later. What are the lessons we have to learn from the world? And once the mind is thoroughly prepared, purified. So what is the sign of a purified mind? At the seat of meditation, the mind listens to your command. At the seat of meditation, you are not struggling with your mind. At the seat of meditation, you will find the mind effortlessly reveling in the higher. You don't find difficulty in withdrawing the mind from the world. The mind has enough dispassion to withdraw from the world. The mind has enough devotion to remain rooted in the higher, in the divine. There is no effort at all. When you come to this state, then renouncing the world will never be a problem for you. Otherwise, it is problematic. So what does Bhagavan say? In the first step of spirituality, learn how to live in the world. This is the first one. Before renouncing the world, first learn how to live in the world. So this is the topic which is going to be discussed throughout this chapter. So in the verse number 8, Bhagavan says, action is always better than inaction. Lazily sitting down doing nothing is the worst thing. Far, far better is performance of action. But how should this action be performed? So the core of Karma Yoga we find in the 9th verse. So today whole day we are going to discuss verse number 9. Let us chant that verse. Yajñarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. Yajñarthat karmanaha anyatra ayam lokaha karma bandhanaha. Arjuna, understand. If actions are performed without the attitude of yajna, if actions are performed without the attitude of yajna, then those actions will bind you. Karma bandhanaha. A person will be bound by very same actions. Actions done with the wrong attitude will bind you. So therefore, tadartham karma kaunteya. Therefore, perform action for yajna. How it should be done? Mukta sangaha. Free from attachment. Samachara, do it as best as you can. So what type of karma has to be done? Yajña karma has to be done. Now what is this Yajña karma? We will have to analyze. First of all, we have to understand what is karma bandhana. Bandhana means what? Bondage. What Bhagavan says is, if actions are performed with the wrong attitude, it will bind us. So therefore we have to first understand what is this bondage. Unless we understand what is bondage, we will never have the desire to release ourselves from the bondage. So first, let us analyze what is bandhanam. Suppose a person is tied by a rope to a pole. Then what do we say? He is bound, isn't it? He is bound to the pole. Now what is the sign of bondage? Sign of bondage is lack of freedom. Sign of bondage is helplessness. So wherever there is helplessness, wherever there is lack of freedom, we say that person is bound. Is it clear? Just like the person who is tied by the rope to a pole. He wants to move, he can't move. There is no freedom. Then we say that person is bound. Bandha. From this bandha only the bandhu has come. Bandhu means what? Relatives. The one who binds you is bandhu. The one who puts you in bandhanam is bandhu. You are attached to that person, isn't it? That cord of attachment through love. So therefore that bandhu. Anyway, coming back. Now what is Bhagavan saying here? Actions when performed with the wrong attitude can bind us. Now bondage, does it give happiness or does it give sorrow? Any bondage is of the nature of sorrow. So we have to understand how my own actions give sorrow to me. This has to be understood. So for that, we should know why normally we perform action. Whatever actions we perform in this world, why do we perform action? If we analyze our life, we find that all of us want happiness. Yes or no? All of us, we want what? Happiness. How long do you want happiness? You want happiness forever. You want happiness for eternity. How much happiness do you want? Less or more? How much more? So we can say we want this is our desire, isn't it? We want to be infinitely happy. We want infinite happiness. How long? For infinite period of time. This is the desire each and every one of us we have. Whether we get it or not is a different matter. But we desire this. All of us, we want infinite happiness, unlimited happiness for unlimited period of time. This is the desire which every one of us we have. Now, how do we try to gain this happiness? So in our life we find that whenever I get a desired object, I am happy. Yes or no? Yes. Whenever I get a desired object, I am happy. So to get the desired object, what should I do? I will have to put forth effort. So therefore, in our life we find that I become happy when I get the desired object, and I get the desired object when I work hard in life. So therefore, what is the equation for happiness? The equation for happiness is work hard, get the desired object, be happy. Any problem with this equation? This equation appears to be absolutely perfect, and we are all doing that only. A student who is studying in the school or college, what is his definition of happiness? Marks equal to happiness, rank is equal to happiness. So what does he do? He works hard, studies hard, and he gets it, he is happy. After that, getting a job is happiness. He works hard, gets the job, he is happy. Isn't it? In that job also, to get promotion, he works hard, gets promotion, happy. So throughout our life we find this equation holds good. Work hard, get the desired object, be happy. This is the equation of happiness. And this is how we all function in this world. We perform action in this world. Now what does Bhagavan say here? Now see the analysis. Bhagavan says, if this is your equation of happiness, you are binding yourself with your own actions. These actions will not give you happiness. In turn, it will give you only misery. Are you able to understand? Action is a double-edged weapon. You can liberate yourself, at the same time you can bind yourself also. Now, we have to analyze, where is this equation going wrong? What is the equation? Work hard, gain the desired object, be happy. This is the equation. Now the question is, where are we going wrong? This equation, according to Bhagavan, it will lead to bondage. Bondage means what? Sorrow. You are seeking happiness, but ultimately you will be miserable. So now we have to analyze this. How this equation leads to sorrow. So defect number 1. So there is karma. There is karma phala. We perform action. We perform action for a particular result, for a particular desired object. This is our lifestyle. Now, any action, so this is point number 1. Any action is finite or infinite? Any action has a starting point, an end point, isn't it? So therefore, action is finite. Any action is limited by the capacity of the doer. Because the instruments are limited, so naturally the action also will be limited. We are performing all our actions with our body, with our mind, with our intellect. These are the instruments. So in time it is limited, in space it is limited. Instruments also have their limiting ability. So therefore we can say action is limited. Now from a limited action, how much result can you expect? Limited or unlimited? Limited. Limited action can give you only limited results. Limited results will give only limited happiness. Yes or no? Yes. Limited action can give only limited results. Limited results can give only limited happiness. What happiness are you craving for? Limited or unlimited? Unlimited. So limited happiness cannot satisfy you. So what do you tend to do? Results are over. Again you tend to perform the same action so that you get more results. But the results get over. Again you perform the same action. So what is the sequence? Karma, karma phala, sukha. Again karma, karma phala, sukha. So what is happening there? There is a vicious cycle. There is a non-ending cycle. Now see the bondage there. Getting stuck in any cycle is bondage. You are not able to come out of it. Because every action is giving only limited results. And with that limited results you are not happy. Again you do the same thing. It goes on and on and on. This is defect number 1. Are you able to understand? Defect number 1. Because it gives only limited result, you tend to perform limited action for unlimited period of time, thinking that limited action for unlimited period of time will give unlimited happiness. It won't. Finite plus finite equal to? It is finite only. You can't say it is infinite. Defect number 1. Defect number 2. In this world, now this is the equation. Perform action, get the result, be happy. In this world, what is the guarantee that you may work hard but you will get the result? The nature of the world is such that there is no guarantee that you will get the result. Yes or no? Results are always uncertain. You may work hard, but there are infinite number of factors which will decide the result, and no factors are in your control. Your only factor which is in your control is your own action. That also very many times not under our control. So now what is happening is your happiness depends on an uncertain result. So what happens when your happiness depends on an uncertain result? There is anxiety, there is fear, there is tension, there is stress. Will I get it or not? Will I succeed or not? Now, this anxiety, worry, stress, strain, etc., can you call it happiness? Is it happiness or misery? It is misery. Now see the bondage here. See the karma bandhana here. I want to be happy, but I cannot be happy. I don't want to be anxious, worry, etc., but I have no choice but to worry, but to be anxious. You see this? I don't want anxieties and worries, but helplessly I am worrying and anxious. This helplessness is called bandhana, bondage. Are you able to follow? I don't want unhappiness, I don't want sorrow, but constantly I am in sorrow. Because my happiness depends on the result, and the result is uncertain. I don't know whether I will get it or not, and therefore constantly I am miserable. Everything in this world is uncertain. Everything. Health, wealth, money, power, possession, everything is uncertain. So constantly the mind is filled with worries and anxieties. This is called as bandhana, karma bandhana. Now see, these are all the subtle bondages. Gross bondage, a person tied with a rope and all, we can understand. Political freedom we can understand. Economic freedom we can understand. Physical freedom we can understand. Now we are talking of not of this gross freedom, we are talking of psychological freedom. Mentally, how much are you free? At the mind level, how much are you free? That is true freedom. If a person is free at the mind level, even if he be in the prison, he will be happy. True happiness, true freedom is at the level of the mind. It is not at the level of the body. All the great freedom fighters, they were happy inside prison also. Defect number 2. Defect number 3. Now see the cycle. Karma. Why am I doing karma? For getting karma phala. Why do I want karma phala? So that I can be happy. So now in this sequence, karma, then you get karma phala. That karma phala can produce raga dvesha in your mind. Now see the sequence. I perform work, I work hard, I get a particular result. Now there are only 2 responses possible for any result. What are the 2 responses? Either I like it or I dislike it. I work hard, I get a result. When I get what I want, there is raga. When I don't get what I want, there is dvesha. Raga means like, dvesha means dislike. Now again you see the cycle. Karma, karma phala, raga dvesha. After raga dvesha what? If you get what you liked, again you will perform action to get the same thing. If you did not get what you like, you will perform action to get rid of the thing which you dislike. Again karma. Karma, karma phala, raga dvesha, again karma, karma phala, raga dvesha. What is happening to raga dvesha now? Every time you are performing action with raga dvesha, what happens to raga dvesha? It becomes more and more intense. For example, a person smokes cigarette, he likes it. Next time again he smokes, he likes it. Slowly what happens? Now his actions are based on raga. He liked it, therefore he is doing it. It need not be smoking, it can be anything. It can be tea, it can be coffee, it can be anything. First time you did not know what it was, you tried it, you liked it. Then you said, every day I should do this. And slowly, a time comes when without tea, without coffee, your day cannot begin. Isn't it? Now this is called as intensification of raga dvesha. Now what has happened? The mind has got stuck into a habit. Right? So then we say, such a person becomes a slave of his mind. Slavery of mind. Slavery of mind means what? How did this slavery come? It came because of constant action, repeated action based on likes and dislikes. Any action when performed based on likes and dislikes will create some kind of habit, and once such a habit is created, such a person becomes a slave of his own mind. It can be in any field. So what is the end result? Slavery of mind is the end result. In the beginning it's a desire. Then you start having preferences. Then as the habit becomes stronger and stronger, it becomes likes and dislikes, and finally it becomes addiction. So what is addiction? Intense likes and dislikes is addiction. In the beginning it started with a desire, but in the end it becomes an addiction. Addiction means what? Without this I can't live. So what has happened? This philosophy of yours, hard work, result, happiness, this philosophy of yours will only make you a slave of your mind. This is defect number 3. Defect number 4, not only you become a slave of your mind, you become the slave of the world also. A person who is addicted to smoking, he will need the external cigarette, isn't it? The one who is addicted to drinks, he will need drinks, drugs or whatever. Any sense object you are addicted to, you will need that sense object to make yourself complete, to make yourself feel fulfilled. So this is slavery of the world. Not only you become a slave of your mind, you become a slave of the world also. This is defect number 4. Defect number 5. Every time you perform action through the instruments of body, mind and intellect, the identification with the body becomes stronger, because you are using the body to do something. So every time you get your work done through your instruments, your identification with your instrument becomes stronger. Your identification with the body becomes stronger. This identification with the body is what we call as ego. What is ego? Strong sense of identification with one's own body, mind, intellect. And therefore you give a definition to your identity. You say, this is me. That strong sense of this is me is called ego. Now, all problems in the society is only because of this one thing called ego. Greater the ego, greater the problems this ego will create for you. And how did this ego come? Every time you perform action through your instruments, body, mind, intellect, identification becomes more and more. Ego will increase, ego will strengthen, and this ego will create hell for you. You are bound to your body. How? Mentally. Identification is nothing but bondage. Anyway, this topic we are going to take it up later also. This topic is coming again. So, in that place, we will discuss it in more detail. So, this is defect number 5. What is defect number 5? Strong identification with the body-mind. Defect number 6. Every time I perform action to get results, it is not necessary that those results I will get in this birth only. It is possible that result I may get in the next birth. So, when I am performing action for the result, what am I unconsciously doing? Unconsciously, I am ensuring that let me be born again to go through that result. So, what is the result? Punarapi jananam, punarapi manram. I get bound to the world. This is defect number 6. Getting bound to the world. I say, I want the result, but the result cannot come in this birth. So therefore, you make sure that you are born again, so that you can go through the result of your past action. This is again bondage, you see. You are bound to the world. You are bound to rebirth. You are bound to the birth-death cycle. On one side you say, enough is enough, I don't want. On the other side, constantly you are performing action to bind yourself to the world. So these are the 6 defects. Should we summarize the whole thing? What is the first one? Every action is finite. Results are finite. So therefore happiness is also finite. Point number 2. Results are uncertain. So therefore it will bring only anxieties and worries, which is not happiness. Point number 3. Every time when I perform action based on likes and dislikes, the mind becomes filled with ragadvesha. Such a mind filled with ragadvesha can never give you happiness. You become a slave of such a mind, such an impure mind. Point number 4. Not only that you become a slave of your mind, you become a slave of the external object also, external world also. Point number 5. Every time you perform action, you are getting more and more identified with your own body. Greater the identification, greater the ego. Greater the ego, greater the sense of limitation, the sense of imperfection, the sense of suffocation. You are actually infinite consciousness. Actually, that is your nature. Tat Tvam Asi. That infinite consciousness, when it is, when it is packed in this limited body, what will be your experience? The infinite being stuffed into this limited body, what will be your experience? Misery alone. And that is what the ego does. So that is number 5. Number 6, every time I perform action, every action will have a result. So these results will ensure that I am born again and again back to this world. These are the 6 defects. Now can you say, work hard, get the result, be happy? This equation is utterly foolish and wrong. Now the most important question is, what mistake have we done because of which we suffer? What is the mistake in this equation? Work hard, get the result, be happy. What is the mistake? The greatest mistake is you have forgotten God. In this equation, where is God? The world is given by God. The abilities, talents given by God. The instruments are given by God. Results are given by God. And you think you can be happy without that God who has given you everything? This is a mistake. Are you able to understand? Forgetting God, it is impossible that a person can be happy. So here, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, when it is said here, Yajñarthat karma, that karma which is performed for Yajña, the meaning for Yajña given is Bhagavan. So Yajño Vai Vishnuho, Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, this Yajña means Bhagavan only. So therefore, action should be performed for whom? Not to gain some result or something. Action should be performed for Bhagavan, the one who has given everything to us. Why should we perform action for Bhagavan? So let us start from scratch. This is the basics of spirituality. To live on this planet, how many factors are necessary? How many? Factors. How many factors? External factors, if you see, food is needed, air is needed, right temperature, right humidity, right distance between sun, earth, etc. How many factors can you count? There are infinite number of factors which are responsible to keep us alive on this planet. Now inside the body, how many factors? Again, infinite number of factors, isn't it? The brain, the kidney, the liver, we don't know what is happening inside. The only thing we know is we are alive. But what all complicated things are happening inside, you will be amazed to know. Millions and billions of cells have to function, and we don't know anything. Now the question is, There are infinite number of factors outside, infinite number of factors inside, because of which we are alive. How many factors are in our control? In our control, how many factors are there? Not even one. Isn't it? So therefore, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is, life is not ours. It is a gift from God. It is a gift given to us. It doesn't belong to us. These are the fundamental things which we must very clearly all the time remember. Life is not ours, it is a gift from God. The abilities and talents whichever we have, it is not ours, again it is a gift from God. How am I seeing? I don't know. I am seeing, that much I know. How? That I don't know. The greatest doctor you ask, how the eyes are able to see? They will not be able to answer. How am I hearing? I don't know. How the brain is functioning? I don't know. You ask the greatest philosopher, greatest thinker, how are you thinking? He doesn't know. The greatest singer you ask, how are you singing? We just don't know what is happening. So therefore, these things should be very, very clear. What should be clear? Life is not mine, it is a gift from God. Abilities and talents are not mine, it is again a gift from God. So when you analyze life this way, when you are in touch with the realities of life, you will come to know now these 4 statements. You must have heard it earlier also. I am nothing, I have nothing, I know nothing, I can do nothing. What are the 4 statements? I am nothing, I know nothing, I have nothing, I can do nothing. Any objection by anyone? This is the, what you call, foundation stones of spirituality. Start from absolute zero. Again and again contemplate upon these statements. The moment the ego says, no, I am great. What greatness you have? Whatever you have gained has been given by him. How dare you take the credit? Every time puncture the ego. If you want to progress in spirituality, ensure one thing. With the sharp pin of discrimination, every time keep on puncturing the ego the moment it bloats up. Right. Just pay attention to the reality, that's all. You don't have to read any scriptures to know these 4 statements. I am nothing, I know nothing, I have nothing, I can do nothing. Start from here. So then what happens when you are in touch with the realities of life? When you are in touch with the realities of life, you gain the greatest virtue, which is called as humility. You become humble. You become humble. Because there is nothing in us for which we can take credit. And not only we become humble, we become grateful. This is another most important virtue to be cultivated in spirituality. Gratitude means being thankful to God for having given whatever we have. Bhagavan, I am nothing, but because of your grace, I am something in the society. Bhagavan, I have nothing, but because of your grace, I have something. I know something, I can do something, all because of your grace. So what happens? There is humility and there is gratitude. These are the 2 most important virtues to be cultivated. Now such a mind filled with this humility and gratitude, such a mind is called a pure mind. Only with such a mind, higher meditations are possible. Otherwise, you just cannot take off. Just not possible. Without cultivating these values, meditation is impossible, spiritual progress is impossible. So be in touch with the realities of life. Again and again, make yourself humble. Make yourself a nobody in your own eyes. Make yourself insignificant in your own eyes. Others may consider you great. That is their problem. But in your own eyes, you should be a nobody. To the extent you can become a nobody in your own eyes, to that extent you will find there is peace in your life. Never try to become somebody, because the truth is we are nobody. But what is our effort throughout our life? What does the ego try to do? Every time the ego wants to become somebody, isn't it? That is a wrong direction. It will only give you more and more suffering. Right? So now, the next thing is, when you come to know that so much the Lord has given you, what is the natural tendency of a person who is cultured? We are talking of cultured people. What do the uncultured people do? Get and forget is the nature of uncultured people. And what is the nature of Bhagavan? Give and forgive. Bhagavan will keep on giving, keep on forgiving. But what is the mistake we do? We keep on getting, we keep on forgetting. Now who is the loser? What is it that we lose when we keep on getting and we keep on forgetting? What is that we lose? When we become consciously aware of what all things we have received from Bhagavan, what happens is a love relationship starts developing. Because you cannot but love somebody who is constantly giving. We are constant receivers. He is the constant giver. If you are consciously aware of this thing, that Bhagavan is constantly giving us, what happens is automatically, spontaneously, you start loving that giver. This is how devotion for God has to be created. How do the children love their parents? That love comes because parents are constantly giving, isn't it? That's how the children start loving their parents. In the same way, how to develop devotion for God? Just pay attention to what all He has given. Then you will find that you are able to effortlessly love Him because He is constantly giving. So when you are consciously aware of the things which you receive from God, what happens is love increases, trust in God increases, faith increases, relationship becomes stronger and stronger. Now the question is, so much He is giving, is there something which He expects in return? He is giving so much, but is there something which He wants us to do? Don't say no, the answer is yes. There is something which He expects. Just like when parents are constantly giving their children something, do they expect something? What do they expect? They expect obedience, isn't it? They expect gratitude also. Parents become very happy when the children show that gratitude. So is there something which Bhagavan expects from us when He is constantly giving us? Yes. What He expects is, He expects all His children, that is, all the living beings, He expects His children to live a righteous life, a dharmic life. The one thing which Bhagavan loves the most is dharma, righteousness, goodness. How do we know? How do you know Bhagavan loves dharma? Why does Bhagavan take avatar? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijameham. So every time when there is a glani in dharma, whenever that, there is a decline of dharma, Bhagavan takes charge, he comes to the world, takes avatar, and then re-establishes dharma. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge. So one thing is for sure, Bhagavan loves dharma, a righteous life, a good life, a noble life. If this is what Bhagavan likes, so what will he expect from his children? To live a righteous life, isn't it? So there is something which he expects from us. And that righteous life, that righteous living is in a different, way, put as Yajña. Yajñarthat karma kuru. For the sake of Yajña you perform action. Because then you are pleasing the Lord who has given you everything. So, now the question is, when we come to know that Bhagavan has given so much to us, so there is something which we can also give Bhagavan. What is it that we should give Bhagavan in return? Let us try to live a life in such a way that we please our Creator. Every creature, every creation should try to please his Creator. This is what is Yajña karma. Perform action in such a way that it pleases your Creator. It makes Bhagavan happy. That is Yajña karma. This is the essence of Karma Yoga. Now let us put it in a beautiful way. So in Karma Yoga, there are 4 principles. What are the 4 principles? Number 1, Kartavya Nirvahanam. Kartavya Nirvahanam. What is Kartavya Nirvahanam? Performance of your duty. This is point number 1. Point number 2, Samyak Acharanam. Samyak Acharanam means doing it as best as you can. This is point number 2. Point number 3, Ishvara Arpana Buddhihi. Performing all your actions as a worship of the Lord. Point number 4, Ishvara Prasada Buddhihi. When the results come, because when you perform action, definitely the results will come. When the result will come, what should be your attitude? Accept the results as prasada from God. These are the 4 principles of Karma Yoga. So what is the first one? Kartavya Nirvahanam. What kind of actions we must perform? Do your duties. That's all what is needed. Don't try to, improve the whole world and all. Not necessary. All of us, we have limited abilities. With that limited abilities, God has given limited responsibilities, limited duties. In that limited range, perform your duty. That is enough. That is enough. A housewife, she has to take care of the husband, take care of children. That is enough. This duty thing, we will again come back in detail. So number 1, perform your duties. Karma Yoga principle number 1. Principle number 2, Samyak Acharanam. Do it as best as you can. You don't have to compare yourself with others. There may be very many people who may be able to do it better than you. Don't worry. Are you doing your best? Then fine. That's all what is needed. Then God is pleased with you. Kartavya Nirvahanam, Samyak Acharanam. The third one, Ishvara Arpana Buddhihi. Ishvara Arpana Buddhihi. Now in this Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, there are 6 factors. So when you are performing action, with what attitude you must perform action? Number 1, there should be Shraddha in Bhagavan. Shraddha means what? Faith. First of all, the faith that there is Bhagavan. Very many don't have even that also. There is a Supreme Lord. He is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, Sarvashaktiman, Sarvajña Bhagavan. He is there. That Shraddha must be there. This is number 1. Number 2, Bhakti must be there. Bhakti means love for God. Point number 2, Bhakti. Point number 3, Vinamrata. Vinamrata means humility. Why humility? Nothing belongs to me. I am nothing, I know nothing. Humility. Number 4, Kritajñata. Kritajñata means gratitude. Why gratitude? Bhagavan, whatever I have has come from you, so I am grateful to you. Kritajñata. How many over? 4. 5th one, Tyaga Buddhi. What is Tyaga Buddhi? Whatever actions I do, it must be beneficial for everyone, not only me. That is called as Tyaga Buddhi. Normally what is the attitude? I don't care about others. It benefits me, that's it, over. Karmas are of 3 types. One is tamasic. Tamasic means what? I harm others in order to benefit myself. That is tamasic, worst. Second is rajasic. I don't care about others. I care about myself. I may not be harming others, but I am selfish. That is rajasic. What is sattvic action? Not only that others, everybody is benefited. Not only I am benefited, others are also benefited. Now there is a tyaga there. This again is the meaning of yajña. Yajña means sacrifice. Sacrificing what? Sacrificing the individual for the welfare of the total. This is the meaning of yajña. I sacrifice myself for the welfare of the total. I sacrifice, what you call? Vyashti is sacrificed for the welfare of samashti. That's the meaning of yajña actually. So there is a tyaga buddhi. Like for example, a mother in the family, she sacrifices everything for the welfare of the family, and that is why the family is intact. That love, bondage, etc. is so strong because there is one person who is giving everything for the welfare of all. That is his yajña, tyaga buddhi. This is number 5th. What is the first one? Shraddha. Second one? Bhakti. Third one? Vinamrata. Fourth one? Kritajñata. 5th one? Tyaga buddhi. 6th one? Sharanagati. What is Sharanagati? Surrender. What is surrender? Surrender means there is something which I like, but if I find that God doesn't like it, I should not do. Understood? I may like something, but if that doesn't please Bhagavan, I should not do it. This is real surrender. I may not like something, but Bhagavan likes it. Then what should I do? I must do it. Whether I like it or not, that is not the criteria. Bhagavan loves it, then I will do it. Now the question is, how will I know whether Bhagavan likes it or not? You will know it. The moment when you do something wrong, which is against the wish and will of the Lord, what happens inside? There is a conscience prick. That conscience prick is the voice of God. It's a very, very sacred voice. It's a divine voice, and more you listen to that voice, the more and more you become a good child listening to that voice and obeying it, then more and more clearly you will hear that voice. The more and more you ignore that, gone, you are finished. So this voice of conscience is a very sacred voice. Actually, it is the voice of the Lord Himself. Purer the mind, clearer the voice of conscience. Never do anything against it. Because if you obey that voice, everything will be wonderful with you. Success will just follow your footsteps. Because you have the grace and blessings of the Lord. Listening to the voice of conscience is the sure method to invoke the grace and blessings of the Lord. The moment you disregard that voice, you are doomed to destruction. So this is Sharanagati. What is Sharanagati? Listens to this voice. Is Bhagavan's blessing there? Will Bhagavan be pleased if I do this? If yes, then go ahead. If no, then don't do it. But then suppose you are not able to listen to that voice, then in the beginning this problem will be there. So what you have to do is people who are already advanced in the path of spirituality, some Mahatma, some saintly person, some great man, great soul, you ask. And whatever that person say, do it. Then that is Sharanagati. But slowly, slowly, as the mind becomes purer and purer, your own pure mind will clearly show you what is right, what is wrong. So these 6 aspects we must always keep in mind. This is called Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. So what all things are there? There is faith in God, there is faith in the goodness of God, there is faith in the omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence of God, there is faith, Shraddha is there. There is bhakti, there is love for God. Then there is humility, vinamrata. There is kritajñata, there is gratitude. Then there is tyaga buddhi, whatever you are doing for the welfare of everyone. And 6th one, you are doing it to please the Lord, Sharanagati. When all these factors are taken into account, then we say there is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. You perform that action as a worship of the Lord. Kartavya Nirvahanam, Samyak Acharanam, Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. The 4th one is Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. Now, once you have performed the action, results will start coming from the world. What should be your attitude? Prasad. No complaining, no grumbling. Why? I am getting what I deserve. Because Bhagavan is omniscient, all-knowing. His knowledge is infinite. So whatever He gives, it will be the best thing, it is the right thing. Whatever God gives me, it is the best thing for me, whether I accept it or not, whether I know it or not. He will give only the best thing, He will give only the right thing. That which I deserve, He gives. Now what is the proof that the Prasada Buddhi is perfect in me? The proof is when you get the result, your mind is at peace. What is the proof that Prasada Buddhi is not there? You will find that somewhere deep within, hey, this shouldn't have happened. I should have got more. That kind of complaining, that kind of grumbling, that kind of agitation is a sure sign. Sure sign of what? Sure sign that Prasada Buddhi is not there. To the extent Prasada Buddhi is there, to that extent mind is at peace. To the extent Prasada Buddhi is not there, mind will be disturbed. So this is Karma Yoga. Performing action to make Bhagavan happy. So then what happens? You will find that a person who performs action with this attitude, he will be free from all the 6 defects. What is the first defect? Finite action, finite result, and therefore happiness is also finite. What about this person? His happiness doesn't depend upon the result, his happiness depends upon the pleasure of God. If Bhagavan is happy, I am happy. I don't care about the results. Is Bhagavan happy? Everything is fine. So therefore, he is free from the first defect. What about the second defect? What is the second defect? Results are uncertain. So now this person is working only for the results. He is worried, anxious, etc. What about this person? Karma Yogi. Karma Yogi is not performing action for the result. He is performing to please the Lord. So whether the result come or not, he is unaffected by it. Worries and anxieties don't touch him. See the beauty. Third one, Ragadvesha. This person is not performing action based on Ragadvesha. In fact, he might go against Ragadvesha only. I might like something, but I will not do because he doesn't like it. So what happens? Actions are not based on Ragadvesha. So therefore, he always remains a master of the mind, not a slave of the mind. Defect number 3. Defect number 4. He is not the slave of the world. Because he is not the slave of his mind, he is not the slave of the world also. Defect number 5. What is defect number 5? Every action is done with the identification with the body. What does he say? Bhagavan, you are the doer. I am only an instrument in your hands. What does he say? This body belongs to Bhagavan. He has given this body to do his work. So therefore, there is a total detachment. There is no identification there. He considers this body as an instrument to do his work. So what happens? Identification is gone, ego is gone. And defect number 6. Results. He is performing for result. Result might. Now here, since he is not performing action for the result, he says, Bhagavan, you are doing it through me, so therefore result also should go to you only. I am not doing anything for result. So therefore, karma phala doesn't touch him. And because karma phala doesn't touch him, he becomes free from birth, death cycle. See how beautifully the very same action, he uses it to become free from all kinds of bondages. See the difference between a karmi and a karma yogi. Who is a karmi? All of us. Performing action for results. We don't care about whether God is happy or not. We just bother about what happens to a karmi. While performing your action also he is miserable because he is constantly worrying about the future results. So now when you are worrying about the future result, what kind of action will you turn up? Good or bad? Your actions will be third rate, inferior, because you are putting forth effort with a mind filled with worries and anxieties about the future. Your mind is not in the present. It is constantly in the future. So what kind of action can you do with a disturbed mind? With a disturbed mind, only third rate inferior actions can come out. Only with a peaceful mind, the best actions come out. So, with respect to performance of action, karma yogi is at the advantage. He is at a higher advantage because he is performing action with a very peaceful mind, concentrated mind, focused mind. So the quality of his action will be very high compared to a karmi. So naturally, what will be the result? Result will be far, far better. Material result. Other than that, he gets the spiritual results also. See the benefits. A karmi is disturbed while performing action and while getting the result, he is disturbed throughout his life. What about a karma yogi? Karma yogi is peaceful while performing action. Karma yogi is peaceful while getting results also because prasada buddhi is there. So throughout his life he is peaceful, plus he gets a greater material advantage. He is more materially prosperous because he is performing action with a peaceful mind. Plus what? Spiritual benefit. He is untouched by the different kinds of bondages. So see the difference? This karmi and a karma yogi, both of them may be working in the same office. They may be doing the same thing. One fellow becomes miserable, becomes bound. The other person gains happiness and becomes free. You see the difference? Huge difference. Huge. Now the question is, how many of us we know this in the society? This great science. Unless we study the scriptures, how will we know? We think, everybody is doing, so I am also doing. Right? Majority need not always be right. In fact, most of the time, majority is wrong. How many rare few of us, we are blessed with this knowledge, because of which we are able to live in the right way. Unless we study the scriptures like it, like Bhagavad Gita, etc., how will we ever know? Isn't it? More of it we will see tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanto Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.